Hello, and welcome to Teacher Talk. I'm your host, Kelly C. Let's head into the planning room and find out what the hot topic of discussion is for today. Welcome to this special Mythbusters edition of Teacher Talk. Today we're going to look into the top 5 myths circulating through education today.
With Common Core, all teaching will look the same.
Common Core state standards have been created to be robust and relevant to the real world, reflecting the knowledge and skills that our young people need for success in college and careers. The thought process behind the standards began with the belief that it should be clear to every student, every parent, and every teacher what the standards of success are in every school. Whether your class is using or transitioning into the Common Core state standards, or you are currently using the next generation Sunshine state standards, these standards are the what your students need to know about your subject area by the end of their school year to be considered on grade level. So if the standards are the what, then we can view curriculum as the how. Though each course's standards are the same, the students in the courses are not the same. As teachers, we have the creative flexibility to facilitate our students' learning styles based on their individual learning needs. A kindergarten math standard asks students to be able to count to 100 by the end of the year. How a teacher goes about teaching that concept should be based upon her students' learning needs and interests. Whether it's through visuals, books, celebrating the 100th day of school, daily hands-on activities, or all of the above, the possibilities are endless. And with a narrowed set of standards, teachers are now free to delve deeper into concepts, which actually allows for more creative teaching. I would like to put a plea out to experienced teachers at this time, however. Please be mindful and helpful to the beginning teachers at your school, as they will not have as much background knowledge or resources available that you may have and can share. Team up as a mentor and work together to benefit your students and your school.
Teaching isn't what it used to be. There is no room for creativity.
This leads straight to the heart of our second Mythbuster. Standards and curriculum may change, but the teaching profession is still the same. We facilitate the learning of the students in our classroom. As teachers, we read and define what standards are required for the courses we teach. That is what we consider point B. Then we evaluate our students and where they are on the continuum of learning in our subject area. This is point A. Point B may vary from year to year based on state-adopted changes, new course assignments, or a change in the grade level you are teaching. Regardless of change, as teachers, we use these standards as our guide. Once we've determined point B and we have evaluated point A for each student, how we move them from point A to point B should be determined by the student's learning needs. This is where we use differentiated instruction. Some students will move straight to point B. Others might have many highs and lows, getting from point A to point B, perhaps even some regressions. And yet others may start at point A and exceed past point B. The distance they have come from point A is to be celebrated as a learning gain. Progress monitoring should be done throughout the school year, but I caution you not to try and predict standardized test scores from formative data percentages. Let's take FAIR, as we know, FAIR, as an example. If a student's scores indicated that they are at 87% mastery and in the green category, do not try to correlate this percentage with a passing score on the FCAT or future PARCC tests. Instead, look at the 13% they have not mastered. Determine what area they're weak in, vocabulary, inferencing, reference and research, etc., and focus on activities that will help a student master those skills.
At least after our students take the standardized test, we can teach what we want.
This dovetails into our third myth. Why teach after kids take the state assessment? Well, let's look again at our point A and point B chart. Through various forms of formative and summative assessments, you will know throughout the year where your students are on this learning spectrum. If your student has reached or surpassed point B, they can begin learning next year's standards. If they have not yet reached point B, they need to continue to push toward mastering that knowledge. Let's compare. 100 years ago, American students went to school for 180 days. Today, in 2013, they are still going to school for 180 days. Yet, when you consider all of the new knowledge that has been gained in the past 100 years, whether it's scientific discoveries, 100 years of new history, advancements in STEM knowledge and careers, or improvements in writing techniques, the point remains that we have numerous more amounts of information to teach children in our classrooms today, but we still only have them 180 days. My point is this: there can be no wasted time. Everything we do must be a learning experience for our students. Even field trips need to have a learning objective tied to them.
Evaluations are hurt in the field of education.
If a teacher's students fail the FCAT, they will be fired.
Speaking of things in education being tied to teachers, let's take a look at that silly myth number 4. If a teacher's students fail the FCAT, they will be fired. Somewhere along the lines of rolling out a better way to assist our students in differentiating their instruction, the basic principle of evaluations became misconstrued. Teacher evaluations are meant to be helpful, not hurtful. All teachers want their students to be successful, but we do not always know how. Evaluations are for learning, not of learning. The main reason for evaluations is to help teachers better understand their strengths and weaknesses, just as we do daily with our students. Now, I believe that the debate of teacher pay being tied to student scores through evaluations has shifted the focus of an evaluation's main objective. Regardless of where you stand on the debate, as a fellow teacher, I would urge you to separate your feelings toward the debate and your review of the evaluations. Remember, they are just one of the data tools that you're provided to help you better understand your teaching style and your students' learning styles. Sometimes those match up, and sometimes we as teachers have to use techniques we are not accustomed to in order to facilitate learning for all of our students.
Common Core is just a fad.
Lastly, let's address the myth that Common Core state standards are just another passing fad in education.
Hi, I'm Dorina Sackman, Florida's 2014 Teacher of the Year. I'm sure by now you've heard a lot about the Common Core state standards that are being implemented in Florida schools. Well, I just want to tell you how fantastic they really are. I've used them in my classroom since last year, and I've gotten incredible results. Common Core is not the content, it's the how and the why of the content, where teachers can create innovative lessons that students can really think, and they empower to empower themselves, thinking critically, allowing elaboration, discussing strategic breakdowns of literature, comparing and contrasting, and really engaging in such a dialogue where students can really think for themselves. We are creating amazing thinkers using Common Core. And these thinkers then can go on for career and college readiness. That's what we're looking for.
Common Core state standards are the most comprehensive set of higher order thinking skills and objectives that our country has ever used. We need these standards to raise our students to the level of their global peers. But regardless of how you view these standards, let's go back to the basic principle of the teaching pedagogy. We move students from their point A to or beyond a set point B. Most of us change grade levels or subject areas each year, and so we are accustomed to learning that new point B or standards. For those of you who will not be changing grade levels or subject areas, let me show you an exercise that will help put the new standards in perspective for you. I completed this exercise with the 6th grade Reading and Writing Common Core State Standards, so that is what I will be using as my example. This can be done in 4 easy steps. First, make a copy of the Common Core State Standards for your grade and subject. Next, highlight in yellow everything that you are currently teaching and the techniques you are currently using. Now go back through the standards and highlight in blue anything you are familiar with that you are not currently using, but you know of someone who has, or maybe you have in the past. Lastly, go through with the pink highlighter and mark anything that you have not taught or techniques you have never used in your classroom. Now, take a look at your standards and what you have highlighted. Chances are that your paper is mostly yellow. This is reassuring and confirms that Florida has already taken steps through the Next Generation Sunshine State Standards to prepare for the Common Core State Standards. Review what you have highlighted in blue and confer with those who you know have used these techniques, or perhaps revise using that teaching style. The only thing that will be completely new for you is what you highlighted in pink. That is where our resources come in. There are numerous companies who are producing Common Core State Standard teaching guides, resources, and lesson plans. The Florida Department of Education is also continually updating and adding to our Common Core State Standards resource bank. You can access these toolkits, professional development, and resources at FLDOE.org. Consistent standards will provide appropriate academic benchmarks for all students, regardless of where they live, and allow states to more effectively help all students succeed. With students, parents, and teachers all on the same page and working together toward shared goals, we can ensure that students make progress each year and graduate from high school prepared to succeed and build a strong future for themselves, our communities, and the country. I hope that you have found some positive reflection from this Mythbusters episode of Teacher Talk. Spend some time reviewing the great resources we have covered on today's show. In fact, you can download a free Common Core app at iTunes. And be sure to share this information with your students and their parents, because as always, remember, communication is key. We'll be listening for more hot topics to chat about next time on Teacher Talk.